Turn up the dive, feel the vibe, get ready to ignite. Untold stories in the airways, flying through the night. Experience voices, tales so bold. Streaming live, the truth unfolds. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wide variety. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can't hide. Aliens in the attic, UFOs in the sky. Cryptids lurking, oh my, oh my. Ghosts in the hallway, whispering your name. The paranormal, the unexplained. Become a VIP, get the inside scoop. Unlock the mysteries, be part of the group. Live streaming stories, they're talking to you. Super chats buzzing, join the group. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wild member ride. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can hide. So if you've got the guts and you want to explore, tune into the Untold, it's what you're looking for. From aliens to ghosts and all that's unseen. Untold Radio Network, where the world's mysteries convene.
Good morning, monsters, and welcome to this week's episode of Monsters on the Edge. I am your host, Barnaby, and just off the top today, we are doing a pre-recorded episode. So unfortunately today we are not live. This is going out live, but we're not actually here to take your comments and questions. So I just want to make sure that everybody watching knows that right off the bat. But otherwise, we are here, and I have an amazing guest for the first time here on my show, and I'm really excited that we finally got him here. So we want to get into that as soon as we can here. But if you guys want to support all things here at Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society, make sure that you're following us on YouTube. And you can also find us on Paraflix Paranormal Plus. You can find all of the really cool stuff there on the Trail of Undiscovered Beasts. Season 1 is out now. You can use promo code CAPS10 to get 10% off your first 3 months of streaming. If you want to wear and tag and sticker all of your support, you can go to wisconsincaps.com, click on Shop Our Store. There you can find t-shirts and hoodies and sweatshirts, magnets, stickers, mugs, tote bags, and all kinds of cool stuff. And while you're online, make sure you head on over to all of our social media platforms. You can find Wisconsin Caps on Patreon, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and WI Caps on Instagram. I want to remind you all that the brand new book, Bigfoot is Hidin', is available now. It is all about Bigfoot on a 80-acre private property in Upper Michigan. And it is 248 pages, full color, all documenting different trail camera pictures and evidence on the property. Over 10 years of stuff there for you. It is available on Amazon, or if you'd like a signed copy by myself, you can order it from wisconsincaps.com. And if you want to show your support for all things here at the Untold Radio Network, here's how.
Hey, Untold Radio Network fans. Want exclusive perks and to support our channel? Introducing our YouTube membership program with 3 amazing levels. Get loyalty badges that level up to different cryptids the longer you're a supporter. How cool is that? You'll also get access to custom Bigfoot emojis and priority in chat. Upgrade to Backstage Pass for exclusive wallpapers, photos, status updates, discounted books, and merchandise. Go all in with the producer level for everything mentioned, plus member shoutouts. Ready for an enhanced experience? Join now, pick your membership level, and let's make this journey even more exciting together.
All right, guys, just a reminder, our show today is pre-recorded, so we are not live, but my guest here is. My guest today is Charlie Raymond. He holds a bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Florida. He founded the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Organization in 1997 to document all the credible Bigfoot encounters in Kentucky. For over 3 decades, he has interviewed countless witnesses, conducted investigations, and held expeditions in the hopes of one day proving their existence. He believes Bigfoot to be a flesh and blood, unidentified hominin, very closely related to humans. One day, he hopes to establish laws in Kentucky to protect these magnificent creatures. Charlie is also a BFRO investigator for Kentucky. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Charlie Raymond.
Hi.
How's it going? Hi.
Howdy. I should say howdy.
Howdy. Awesome. Man, you are you're hard to nail down for one. So I'm really glad that you took some time to do this interview. Like I said, it's pre-recorded. So thank you so much for doing that, first of all. And
well,
you go ahead.
It's a Friday night and I'm snowed in. So literally I cannot go anywhere. So
I see. It was more of a not just out of convenience. You had no choice but to show up for the interview.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. So we're right now it is January 19th. So you're snowed in down there and you're in Kentucky, right?
Yeah. Not really snowed in. Just not much to do on a Friday night when, in Kentucky in, January. So
very good. I was gonna say, one of my other guests on just said there was like 2 or 3 feet of snow down in Kentucky.
Yeah, there are some spots. Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane. Right now we have about an inch of ice on all of our roads, and the plows and stuff can't even get rid of it. So it's been there for about a week, and we just can't get past it. So it's pretty dangerous just driving around up here. So yeah.
Yeah. But you can still go Bigfooting because,
Absolutely.
I believe they're active year round. They don't hibernate. So I do go in the woods in the winter time. So
absolutely. I think that actually, for me, that adds a lot of help to the situation, because when you're going out into the woods, a lot of the times, the ground is so hard and packed down, or there's a lot of leaf litter, that when you have nice fresh snow, if anything comes through there, you have a lot better chance of finding prints.
Yeah, exactly. So prints are much easier, although, as you know, they can be misidentified with a bounding coyote or a rabbit, because they'll form that nice straight line, 4 foot apart, and it could look like tracks. So we get a lot of misidentifications in the winter too. So you really have to know what you're looking at. Plus, as you know, when the snow melts, the track, so to speak, will look larger and maybe look like a track. And it was just a bunny rabbit, that was hopping and it melted. So you got to be very careful on the tracks.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. I've seen some weird things out there, and it's so hard to tell, I mean, without knowing or seeing what actually created it. So when you go out in the snow and that, are you able to cast these tracks still? What do you do with that?
Yeah, you can. It's tricky. You got to make it pretty thin, make your mixture pretty thin. I like to use hydrocal, as most people do. It's a little bit better than your cheap plaster you buy from Lowe's or Home Depot, but the hydrocal looks pretty good. And if you mix it thinner, you could get a nice track. And I tell people all the time, when in doubt, cast it, because the cast will tell you much more than a photograph.
Absolutely. I've heard before of using the like expansion foam in snow and then putting like a board over that. Have you ever tried that, and does that seem to work at all, or what are your thoughts on using that?
I've tried it. The detail's not as good.
Okay.
But yeah, and it's lighter when you're hiking and you're back, 4 miles back. The foam is much lighter than a bunch of plaster. So the foam's nice. Also, those LiDAR apps, for your iPhones, those are really good. You can scan it with those. So that's another option.
I really like that. A lot of the TV shows and stuff have started doing that instead of doing the casting when they go out. And I think that's great, the newer technology that they're bringing in for these different investigations, because, it gives you that detail, that depth that, maybe you don't even get out of a cast, because when you pull it out, you're disturbing the stuff and you're getting all this other debris in there. And yeah.
Yeah. So, when in doubt, take as many photos, document everything, measure everything, cast with plaster or whatever you have. It's always good to do more, because you want to rule out other animals. Like a bear double stepping will look like a foot sometimes, and so you really want to be very cautious. I think sometimes people get overexcited and they get, I like to use the term Bigfoot on the brain, and everything's Bigfoot. I'm the opposite. I want to know for sure. So I want to debunk everything else. If I think it's legit, then I will post it and share it. And as you know, when you post stuff online or wherever it is, you get a lot of critiques. And so you want to be very careful to document properly, especially, with the scientific community. You want to document things properly too. So I get a lot of novice people that are learning, they're just learning, but they get overexcited. Like a guy today sent me pictures, and I was reluctant to even open the pictures. And sure enough, they're, you zoom in and it's just pareidolia. It's just matrix. When you zoom in, pixelates, and it looks like a face in the woods, and it's just pareidolia. And I get that a lot, but they don't know any better. And so I got to kind of break it to them gently that I don't think it's a Bigfoot. I think it's just pareidolia, and I explain what it is. But if you do get something like that, a picture, always use something, if it's a track, as a reference next to it. If you take a picture, if it's something, an image in the woods, whether it's thermal or video, make sure you take an after picture, like when the creature's gone, a comparison shot, and then even go a step further, put a person in the spot if you can, and do a reenactment of the person there to compare it. You really need to do all this stuff. If you just take one picture and you say it's a Bigfoot, it doesn't help.
Absolutely. So I think another thing that to touch on here is, I think I would rather get 500 pareidolia pictures and out of that have an actual picture than not have them submitted at all. So
Yeah, I agree.
It's better to have the evidence to sort through than to not have these pictures, even if they are, just turn out to be nothing.
Yeah, I agree. And for example, there was one time a guy sent me one from Tennessee, and when I got it, I didn't open it till that night, and it's a really good picture of a Bigfoot. And I literally packed my bags and I drove down to Tennessee because it was amazing. And I didn't think it was any good, initially, until I opened the picture. Like, wow, that's not pareidolia. That's either a Bigfoot or a hoax. So it's still a pretty good picture. But a lot of people, as you know, they don't want their names published. They don't want their addresses out there. They're fearful of ridicule. They're fearful of the media showing up, hunters showing up, researchers showing up on their property. And I know in Kentucky, we're very protective of our property here. You know, people, whether it's just they don't want people trespassers, or they don't want people because they're growing something, or they're making something. They're very protective, especially the eastern part of Kentucky, near the Appalachian Mountains. People there are very, very protective. But you will get reports sometimes. Like now, more people are comfortable coming forward because of podcasts and like yours and other ones. It's more acceptable now to share your story. And I just took one that, oh my gosh, it blew me away. And when I talked to him on the phone, I could tell by his excitement. You would have thought it happened yesterday, and it happened 20 some years ago. But the reason why he's sharing it, this is crazy. He never told anybody because, 20 years ago, people laughed at him. All of his hunting buddies laughed at him. And so he just suppressed it. And it was a very traumatic experience too. I mean, very traumatic, because it was a close encounter, daytime, face-to-face encounter. So he had a lot of PTSD, or how do we say that? So he suppressed it. He got married, didn't tell his wife. And up until recently, he was watching some of these Bigfoot shows. And when he was watching the Bigfoot shows, it brought back all these memories. And he couldn't sleep. And his wife's like, how come? What's wrong? What's wrong with you? And finally, he broke down and told his wife, you're not going to believe this, but I had a face-to-face encounter with a Bigfoot. And he told her the story, which was a relief. He told one other person, forgot who it was, and then he called me. And I'm excited because once I heard the story, I go, wow. So we were actually coming back from Tennessee. We met him in Somerset, Kentucky, in a parking lot. And I remember pulling up next to him, and I had my wife in the truck with me. And I wanted her to hear it because she has never heard it. But when I interview him, I want him to save it for the camera when I take my phone out and I film it. He couldn't wait. He rolled down his window. He starts telling the story, and it's blowing me away. I'm like, oh my gosh. And my wife's like, oh my gosh, that guy, that's an amazing story. I go, I know, I told you. So I go, let's find a spot where we can sit, where nobody's around, and I'll just film you. You tell me everything that happened. And I did that. And it's still great. The third time, it's still amazing. Like, it's on my YouTube now, and it's blowing up. People love it because you could tell by the emotion, by the detail, that he saw one. And I wish I could record the very first time I talked to him, though. When you talk to him the first time, it's the best. After they say it a couple times and they're on camera with your phone, they kind of get a little bit nervous when they're on camera. So it changes a little bit, but it's still amazing. And I can share with you the details briefly, but he was hunting daytime up on a mountain, full camo, face painted. And he was blowing a deer call, and he had some deer antlers, and he's rattling the deer antlers. And I'm not a hunter, so excuse me if I get some of the terminology wrong. But he came down out of his stand. This is like 3:00 in the afternoon on a sunny day. And he said there's 5 benches, meaning on this mountain, there's these flat areas, like little trails. You can come down to a bench and then come down to another bench. And he came down to the second or third bench from the top. And there's an opening, a big clearing, a field. And he was blowing his deer call. And he said something big came up, I think, to his right. He said, like you hear a bulldozer coming through the woods. He thought it was a bear or a huge buck, but coming at him. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to see this big old buck coming out of the woods here in a second, or a bear. And then to his right, to his left, behind a giant sycamore tree, this massive Bigfoot leans out, head was giant, big black eyes, broad shoulders, long arms. He said it was massive. And he's looking at it and he's in shock because he's standing in the open. He's not hiding. And the thing's looking at him. He said it was perplexed. It didn't know what he was. Like, it's almost like he thought the Bigfoot was going to look out and see two bucks fighting. And instead he sees this guy in full camo with his face painted. And he said the thing was perplexed looking. But then the guy's thinking, okay, what in the world? What's over here though, to my right? How did that big thing on my right get over here? And then he realizes there's probably two of them, right? And he's real nervous. And he's looking at the thing 30 yards away, 30 yards, daytime, sunny, looking at this thing. And he goes, it reached down with his arm and kind of a little bit low, like it was going to grab something. And it changed its expression to more of a perplexed. No, not perplexed. What was the word he used? Not angry. It was like, God, I gotta look back and see what he said. It was a different expression. Like he felt a little bit of fear then when it went from this curiosity to this. I use the word anger. It's not the word he used. He goes, I knew something was wrong. I knew I needed to leave right then. So he said he turned and he ran. And he said his heart, I can hear my heart beating louder than my feet hitting the ground. And as I got back to the truck, I threw my bow in, I broke the side off it, and he did look back once, and the thing was coming towards him, like it escorted him out of the woods, which we hear all the time. They like to escort you out of their area and make sure you leave. It could have, as we all know, it could have ran after him and grabbed him, because they're super fast and powerful. But it didn't do that. It didn't attack him. It just kind of followed him to make sure he was leaving. And of course he left. And when he described it, and I will tell you this from over 500 reports, not all face-to-face, but of those 500 that I've documented of face-to-face encounters, I would tell you this honestly, almost every one, the person said it looked human-like. It had a wide hooded nose, big black eyes, heavy brow, thin lips, big squared off teeth. But like a human-like look, even though you had that Neanderthal, sagittal crest, hair, all that good stuff. But everyone says it had a human-like look to it. And the reason I mention that is because I am a believer that they're closely related to us more than a gorilla. I don't think it's a big dumb gorilla. If it was a big dumb gorilla, we have it in a zoo by now. These things are highly intelligent. They've adapted over thousands of years to elude us, to evade us, etc. Their senses are far superior. They've adapted to their environment better. They can hide better. They're the ninjas of the forest. They know you're there. You're not going to sneak up on them with camo and guns and flashlights. They know what hunters do. So I tell people when we go out, we do research, we act like happy-go-lucky campers and hikers and play music, cook food, laugh. If we do that and we're non-threatening, you have a better chance of having an encounter being non-threatening than going out and trying to be stealthy. You're not going to sneak up on them. They're too smart. This is my belief, and based on, I can't tell you how many expeditions I've done, investigations where we've had sightings. We've had some great personal interactions with them. I've had my own, not sightings, but interactions with them. And I'm a big chicken, I'll tell you. When I get close and they interact with me, I leave. I know I hate to admit that, but I do. But anyway, his encounter, though, is another one. And it's right down on my YouTube. It's blown up right now. People love it because you can tell by his emotion. And what I want to stress to you and other people, when you come forward and you've had a traumatic experience like that, by getting it off your chest, by sharing it, it's like therapy. And I realized that, being my degree in psychology, I know that, but it wasn't until this last report that the guy kept it in so long. And when he finally felt like it was okay to share, you can see the relief like when he shares it, like it was like yesterday he saw it, and he got teary-eyed in the interview. If you watch the interview, you could tell he gets choked up and teary-eyed. And he thanked me over and over again. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking my report. He is totally relieved now that he can share his story.
That's amazing.
So I tell people we're kind of like therapists too. You know, we're investigators, researchers, scientists, you know, whatever. But we're also like a therapist to these people, because a lot of people don't believe them. We're the ones they can trust. We're the ones that say, I believe you. I know. I've had reports in that area. I believe you. I've got XXX, all these reports in that same area. I can tell you that. So, you know, I'm 100% on board what you're saying. So they love that. They love the fact that, you know, they have the support from us.
Absolutely. Do you find a lot of people are more willing to come forward and talk if the sighting wasn't on their property than as far as if it was something that actually happened near them?
Yeah, there's some of those, because again, they don't want trespassers. They don't want the media.
Right.
Another ones, I'll tell you this, they want to protect them. They know they're back there. They feed them. I mean, I can tell you, I got reports I can't share because they feed them. And they go, I'm not telling you or anybody else, even though I trust you and I believe you, Charlie, I'm not going to share this because I don't want the government coming in and killing them or somebody else. So I'm not going to give out my location. You cannot either. And I respect that. I don't even post it. But, you know, yeah, I would say if it's on somebody else's land or public land, they're more likely to share it.
Now, you talked a little bit about, you know, how you think these things, you know, look very human and more like related to that. I've heard some stories from the native tribes and the indigenous people in that they used to communicate with these creatures and that. And when there was the white man came and kind of, you know, the Trail of Tears and, you know, started not being very nice to the native people, that these creatures were told to back off, that they had the ability to use fire, and that they stopped using it because that would attract the white man because they would know it was there. Have you heard any of this stuff down in your area? And do you believe any of that kind of stuff?
I can't say. We don't have any, what would I say, first generation Native Americans here. We have a lot of people that have some Native American in their ancestry, and they tell me stories, but there's not a lot of firsthand reports in Kentucky of Native Americans, you know, expressing that. But wherever it comes from, I do think they're smart enough not to make fire. You know, they don't even need to, really, to be honest. They're happy just eating the deer cold. But they do nothing to jeopardize their location. And I'll go into the whole thing about them, where they live, and people think they live in caves in Kentucky. And I don't think so. I mean, there's hardly any reports of them in caves, very rare. It's too risky. If you think about it, all these people, that hikers and splunkers and stuff that go in caves, you know, they'd be trapped. Unless there's an exit, they're going to be trapped. They're too smart to get trapped. So they're not going to play house in a cave. They're going to find some area, move every night, maybe make a little shelter or get under some downfall, put leaves on them, cover themselves up, hide under the brush, and then they move. They keep moving. You know, you do find tree structures, but they're more the stuff we find, and, you know, the twists and the teepees and the little glyphs. That's more for communication and marking their territory, et cetera, et cetera. They're not really shelters they live in. Now, we do have some beds we found in Kentucky that look like gorilla beds with pine needles. But again, they're all empty. Maybe they stayed there for a short time. I do think they move a lot within the same couple counties, because I got reports of the same Bigfoots based on physical characteristics, behaviors that witnesses see in the same counties over decades. So I think they stay in the same couple counties because it's too risky to go to Florida for the winter, right? It's much too risky. As long as they have shelter, food, and we're not encroaching on them, they're going to stay in those counties. But when they sleep, I think they move quite a bit. I even think they sleep in something called a polyphasic sleep cycle, where it could be like, say, 4 to 6 hours, maybe 4 hours. 4 is a better number. And then they have a sentry stand guard, because we get tree knocks in the daytime. We get sightings in the daytime. That's why you get sightings daytime, nighttime. I think they might sleep, like, say, every 4 hours, and then maybe they're awake 6 hours or something like that. And that's very advantageous because it's less likely somebody's going to walk up on them, if they're sleeping 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So they're constantly on the move, take little naps, have one stand guard, because you hear those loud tree knocks in the daytime, like a home run knock, like a warning knock that people are encroaching and we need to go. And again, sightings in the daytime. So I think they might sleep like that. The other reason is, in psychology, if you study sleep patterns, we found there's a lot of medical benefits to taking lots of naps for the brain. So there's research on that where it helps the brain function even better than when it functions. And you can look it up, a polyphasic sleep cycle. There's a lot of support for that in terms of medical benefits. So I think maybe they do something like that, where they take naps, so to speak, a lot of them, and then they move. Because, we get reports of them all night long. You got reports of sightings at dusk, 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, I will say this. I think they're more active late at night because we're asleep. So they can move around easier, hunt easier. Plus, there's other nocturnal animals that are up and about. They can hunt at night, like deer and such. So I do think they're more active at night. But I do think they move quite a bit in the daytime because we have a lot of sightings of daytime Bigfoot encounters.
Awesome. We have to take a really quick break here for station identification, and we will be right back.
Okay.
Show your support for the Untold Radio Network family of shows and join in on the conversation by using super stickers and super chats on YouTube. Got a question you want answered? Ask it live via a super chat and get real-time responses from our show's knowledgeable hosts and guests. Help keep the Untold Radio Network shows running strong. We need your support. Send your super chats and stickers now.
All right, we are back here. Thank you guys, everybody that's a super chat member, for supporting and listening to us here on the Untold Radio Network. I want to remind everyone that's listening right now, we are not live. This is pre-recorded, and that's awesome. So we have Charlie Raymond here from the Kentucky Bigfoot Researchers Organization, also a member of the BFRO, and it's been amazing so far, our interview with you. For anybody that has any questions, anybody that has a sighting down in Kentucky or the surrounding area that's watching right now, where can people go? What can they do to get a hold of you, ask you questions or anything?
KentuckyBigfoot.com. So KentuckyBigfoot.com. You can go to submit a report. It'll come in. I'll call you or text you. We'll set up a time for a phone interview. If it's feasible and agreeable, we will come out and meet you on location, maybe, and take your report. You can remain anonymous. You don't have to meet us in person. It could just be a phone interview. We like to document it, add a pin to our map of, that's what we want to do, is add a pin to our map. We want to learn about their behaviors, their physical, characteristics and such, because we don't have a lot of footage of Bigfoot, nor do we have a lot of photos of Bigfoot. What we know about Bigfoots are based on witness testimonies of what witnesses see and observe. So that's why witness testimony is crucial to our research. It also tells us where they live, because we put a pin on the map. We know to go there, and that's where we find tracks or record vocalizations, etc. So witnesses are very crucial. Like I said, you can remain anonymous. We can share with you other reports in the area. So if you have questions about them or other people that have seen them, we can share that information. Of course, not their name, personal information like the witnesses' names and such, but we can tell you, yeah, we've got reports right down the road from you or something like that. So it's reassuring to know other people have seen it in your area. So yeah, go to KentuckyBigfoot.com, submit your report, and you'll feel better, and I'll thoroughly enjoy it because I get to live vicariously through these witnesses.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got your website right here as well, and it is in the show notes for anybody. You can click on it and check it out. I see on here it says you guys were voted one of the top Bigfoot sites, and that is awesome. Congratulations on that. There is a wealth of, there's your book as well. Anybody that's interested, you can get copies of that autographed here on there or on Amazon. And what was I saying? Oh, an awesome website. There's a lot of stuff on here. I was kind of looking through this before our interview here tonight. And, there's media, there's reports. You can go on here and see like all the different counties and stuff of Kentucky. And you can read, like, if you click on specific ones or whatever, well, that was probably a bad one to click on. Here's one. You can click on this and you can see all the different reports and, like reenactments looks like, and just all this information for anybody that's out there that's interested in it. It's a very good website.
Well, thanks. It's old. It was built a long time ago. But then I keep adding information like the sketches there, like that sketch right there.
Mm-hmm.
That sketch right there is by Terry Thomas. He's an artist in our organization. He will contact the witness over the phone, and the witness will describe what they saw. So in this case, the witness saw Bigfoot carrying a small pig under its arm, crossing a road. And so that is detailed of what the witness actually saw, which I love that. It paints a picture for your viewer. When you read the story, you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. That's exactly, I can see what they're talking about. So Terry is a huge help to the organization. I need to have him do one. You know what? I need to have him do one of the recent sighting. Yeah, I need to give him that report because that report is fresh. And I'll tell you what happens now with YouTube. Now we videotape the witnesses. I used to do it a long time ago, but I didn't do a lot of them. But I do have a lot of old videos of witnesses. But now I do a lot of that because, two reasons. It's more acceptable. More people are willing to go on camera now. So I'll videotape them. The other thing that helps, I don't have to peck away at the keyboard. Pecker. I don't have to peck. So it's quicker to get it up online. And then the viewer can watch the person, watch their emotions as they tell the story. So if you look at our website, a lot of those reports that are typed are from a couple of years ago. Now, go to our YouTube. That's where you see all the witnesses talking about their stories.
Very cool. There is your YouTube page as well. So anybody that's interested in that, you can click on it right at the bottom of the website. There's a link as well. And for anybody that's driving and listening or anything, it's in the show notes. Once you're done driving, you can head on over there and check this out and some of the cool stuff that's on there. So awesome.
What's nice too, like you mentioned, if you're driving, you don't have to watch it. You can listen to the testimony. It's like what you do. It's like a podcast. It's like you can just sit there and listen to it as you drive. So I love the fact that people are more willing to go public and talk verbally about their sightings.
Absolutely. And like you said, we talk about on my show all the time, going out to different conventions and conferences and stuff and being able to meet these people in person, like yourself and myself that get out there. It's such a relief to, we've had people come up, I'm sure you have too, to your booth, like you said, and just, I didn't know where else to go. My friend said that this, crazy event was in town about Bigfoot and that I should go talk to him. And then they come there and they find, I don't know if I really believe that I saw this or I saw a bear or what have you. And then they start talking to the different, people that are there like yourself and me and that, and they're like, you know what, this is what I saw. And I'm so glad that I came here today and can share this with different people. So it's awesome. It's an awesome experience.
Now, sometimes people come up to our booth, and I've done this before. It's a good report. I actually get them to talk right then. In other words, I said, listen, I love that story. Can we walk outside and I'll record it? And I've done that. So I've got a lot of reports just right there on location during a conference. The other hand, you get some people that come up, they'll share the story, and then you never, sorry, cold. You never hear from them again. I'll give you an example. We were in, I think it was the Tennessee Bigfoot Conference. I spoke down there, and we live in Kentucky, and this guy comes up in Tennessee. He goes, "Hey, I'm your neighbor in Kentucky. I live in Wolfe County. We're in Powell County." He goes, "I know where you guys are. I'm a sheriff deputy." And he goes, "One night, late at night, I received a call, and I had to turn around real quick." So I said, I turned around in this road, and my lights hit this large creature standing between two trees. But it was an emergency. I had to get to the call. I couldn't stop to investigate it. But he goes, "It looked like a Bigfoot standing between two trees." As I turned around, I go, "Oh my God." I go, "Here's my card. Call me, when I get back." And he never did. I'm like, crap. I mean, I should have got his phone number. When you hand your card out, people sometimes get cold feet, especially, if they're in the public service, like, law enforcement and such. They might tell you a little bit, and then they might back off. They might think twice about it. So I think he got excited because he's at the conference, and then he might have thought, well, I better not, my job depends on my credibility,
That's another reason why some of these reports don't come to the surface, because, people are worried about their reputations as well. Reputable people, like you said, like law enforcement and stuff that have these experiences, sometimes are, worried for their jobs that they can't come forward and talk about that.
Yeah. We had, one not far from here. It's actually behind we own this little motel here in Powell County. It's and also our headquarters, but I would say 45 minutes behind us. It was in Jackson County. There's a guy named Sheriff Deputy Tim Fee. He went on Finding Bigfoot, and he wasn't afraid to say a Bigfoot walked across his front yard, stepped over a fence, and here's a sheriff deputy going on national TV. In that same county, I've got dozens of other Bigfoot reports, that same area. So I like it when they don't care, that I saw what I saw, and they come forward. But we do have other law enforcement or park rangers or government officials that will say something and they backtrack. Like I had a guy, I was at a library presentation. I got done speaking. We're going to go meet some friends for pizza after the library presentation. And I was packing up my vehicle in the parking lot. And this gentleman walks up to me, and he had been sitting in the back of my Bigfoot presentation, in the back row. And he looked like Indiana Jones, with the hat and I don't think he had the whip, but he had the hat and the jacket. And he looked official. Like I was looking at him, like, who's that guy back there? And anyway, he comes up in the parking lot and goes, "Hey, I'm what you call fishing game for Fort Knox, and I've got some stories for you." Because where this presentation was Meade County, which is near Fort Knox, and he wanted to share some information about Fort Knox and some sightings there. And I did it again. I gave him my card, and he never did call me. I'm like, I need to get their number, call them. Because I think what happens is they get cold feet. They think about it later. I better not share this, I should have took the time. I should have skipped pizza with my friends and said, listen, tell me what you know, so you live and learn.
Absolutely. Yeah. You never know. You never know. You always gotta, and sometimes, even if you do contact them afterwards, they don't want to talk either, but
Yeah.
there's a lot riding on it. I think that it's, like you said, become more and more, open to be able to talk about this stuff. Whenever I tell people, that this is what I do Bigfoot, I do paranormal, I do UFOs and stuff. And I usually get one of a few responses to that. And they're like, oh, you look for Bigfoot? Well, Bigfoot doesn't exist. But this one time at my house, I had this ghost, or vice versa. And they go, well, ghosts aren't real. There's no such thing. But this one time I saw this bear walk across the road, and I'm like, oh, did
Right.
you? And it's like everybody's got some sort of story.
Oh
And
my gosh.
they're very reluctant to tell you, and then they'll deny it after they tell you the story. But it's a
I've
big
got
one.
that reminds me of one. So this one was kind of cool. This was my ex-mother-in-law. She didn't believe in Bigfoot. She thought I was wasting my time. She's like 80 something years old. She thinks I'm crazy for what I'm doing. And anyway, one day she goes, I will tell you though, that old Hope House was haunted. I said, what do you mean Hope House? Well, my aunt, Vicky Hope, lived in this cabin in the woods. I said, what happened, Mama? She said, well, they didn't have doors back then, or doors that locked. Back in the country, you didn't lock your doors. It was just an old cabin. And her husband was working late one night. She was home alone. So she's in bed. She heard something walk in the cabin. It stood at her door, and it was covered in hair. And it walked up to her. She pulled the covers up, and it took a big hairy hand and went across her face. And Mamaw goes, haunted. That place was haunted, I tell you. I go, Mamaw, that doesn't sound like a ghost. Ghosts don't have hairy hands. It sounds more like a Bigfoot, actually. She no, it was haunted. It was a haunted house. I go, well, Bigfoots will walk into, cabins and look in windows and look in car windows, and they've been known to go in houses. So that's not unlikely, but she didn't believe it. She knew it was just a ghost.
A big hairy ghost.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that, the kind of misconception or whatever there, the misidentification, have you had any Dogman reports down there in Kentucky?
Yes, we have. There's not a ton like you guys have, but I would say I've documented 5 really, really good ones, though. Like authentic, very credible witnesses that, and again, I'm very critical of people and their reports. There's a lot that I throw out. I'm like, that's BS, and I throw it out. These 5 are amazing, and I did record them. Some are in video of them talking about it. One of them was just a couple of years ago, and what was crazy is when he told me where it was, I used to go fishing right there. And he goes fishing there, and he was fishing late at night with his buddy, catfishing, and they heard something big coming through the woods, so they jumped in the van, and it came up to them on the passenger side. He took a mag light and he lit it up. He said it looked like you would see in a movie. He actually thought somebody was filming a movie because it was so detailed. Menacing is the word he described it as, menacing. The big muzzle, the teeth, the little eyes, the pointed ears. He said he just stared at him, and it wouldn't move. And he's watching it. He's telling his buddy to leave, go. He goes, well, it's not moving. He goes, move your flashlight, like take it off and put it back. So he goes, no, I don't want to take my flashlight off it. I'm afraid to. He goes, take it off for a second. So he moved it down. When he moved it up, it came closer. And that split second where he moved it, it actually took a step towards him. And they're like, get out of here. Let's go. So they backed up through gravel. And he goes, man, that report is an amazing report. Again, it's on my YouTube. You can listen to it. I go to my Google map. I go, holy crap. Years ago, I took a report of 2 families driving that same road on the opposite side of the road down by Cave Run Lake. 2 families in 2 cars saw a Bigfoot daytime standing there. Didn't have a muzzle though, because I always ask them, what did the face look like? You just see it. And they said it was a flat face, broad shoulders, no ears. So I, classified that as a Bigfoot sighting. However, this guy was a definite Dogman. I mean, there's no doubt about it. A lot of people think they can't coexist in the same territory because, I could see that, which one's the alpha. But in this case, this is a couple of years apart. There's a Bigfoot sighting and a Dogman sighting literally across the street from each other.
Wow. So with your background in psychology and stuff, we kind of talked about knowing these witnesses are telling the truth and, believing them. So when you get these reports of these Dogman, what do you make out of this? Do you think that they're flesh and blood like the Bigfoot is, or, because we don't really have a lot of fossil record or any kind of upright canine creature to link these things to. So do you think that they're something normal? Do you think they're extraterrestrial, interdimensional? What are your thoughts on where these things came from?
This is just strictly speculative because nobody knows. So we just have to speculate on what we think. And like you said, there's no possible fossil record where a Bigfoot, we can say a Bigfoot's a descendant of Gigantopithecus or another hominid that we have fossils of. And it, based on the way it acts and its physical characteristics and its overall physical makeup, we think maybe it's possibly related to us. But a Dogman, where's the history? Where's the possible fossil record? We don't have that. So again, I speculate that it's paranormal, that it does go through portals and it is something demonic maybe, or I don't know. People say they're more evil, more ferocious than Bigfoot, and maybe that's true. So I don't know what to make a Dogman, but I document them. I've got, like I said, 5 of them. That's not a lot, but they're very, very credible witnesses. Mm-hmm. One was a chiropractor and a nurse for 20 years, and he got a good look at it. And this guy did not contact me. He had told a nurse he worked with, and I worked at a school, and the kids at the school knew I did Bigfoot research. And one day the mother comes to my classroom and she's like, I hate to tell you this, but oh my gosh, this nurse I work with saw a Bigfoot, she thought. I go, man, give me his phone number. I want to call him. It took months and months and months for him to agree to let me come to his house. And I did an interview. He's nonchalant, no expression, just matter of fact as you can get. This is what happened, because I don't tell many people about it. I asked my neighbors if they saw anything, but he saw a Dogman walk in front of his house, pointed ears, big muzzle. The legs were bent backwards, only about 6 foot tall, covered in hair. And then when he ran outside, he looked around. It was in a cornfield on all fours, going away from him on all fours. So he first saw it on 2 legs, had a bounce to its step. Bigfoots are smooth. Bigfoots have a flat face. Bigfoots don't have ears. Definite Dogman. It was not a Bigfoot. But this guy was like just matter of fact. His interview is on my YouTube. If you go there, you could watch him talk about it. And that was one of the first ones I ever did a video of. He let me videotape it. He didn't care. But again, this guy wasn't looking for attention. He didn't really want to be bothered by it. I had to keep pursuing him to talk about it. So, and being a nurse and a chiropractor, he knows anatomy. He talks about the way it walked, its gait. He describes its gait and some such things. He goes, this couldn't have been a person. So that's one of the 5 that I documented.
Did he say if it had a tail?
No, no tail.
No tail. For sure, no tail.
Yeah, most of the ones I know sometimes have tails. the ones I've interviewed, I'm pretty sure none of them had a tail, or they didn't see a tail. So
Interesting.
do you get some with tails?
I don't know. Like I haven't taken any actual like sightings and stuff aside from Lee Hample down there, who has the hayfield that's right off of Bray Road. And I don't remember if the one that he actually saw had a tail, but I don't hear many reports like from other places than that either that have tails. So that's really interesting too, is, when you have these canine creatures, typically all canines have tails. When you look at any of the wolf species, coyotes, foxes, any of your canids, they all have tails. So
Yeah.
I can't think of any natural canine that doesn't. I know some people have them clipped and stuff, but
Yeah, I can't. I don't know what the Dogman is. They do have this more of an intimidating reputation. Bigfoots don't scare me as much. Honestly, I don't carry a gun. I know. I will tell you this: of all the close encounters in Kentucky, not one of the close encounters has the Bigfoot hurt the human. Usually the human runs away and the Bigfoot follows them, but the Bigfoot could have grabbed him. The Bigfoot's close enough, could easily kill him. I don't have one report. Well, take it back. The ones that killed the people, I don't know. I have no way of documenting if they were killed, but I will tell you all the ones that the human walked away and lived to tell the tale. The Bigfoot was just curious. It's curious. It does escort you out of the area. Sometimes they do bluff charge and throw rocks and push trees over. I got lots of reports. I've had my own experiences of them being intimidating, but we leave. We know, we're smart enough to know that was big. Whatever did that was big. Let's go. So maybe part of it is we're smart enough to know to leave and not get killed. But I will tell you, the Bigfoots don't scare me as much. I think they're smart enough to know if we were to kill them, if they were to kill us, we'd come back with a hunting party and hunt them down, so to speak. I think they know that it's probably happened before. Your stories of that. I think they want to just kind of leave us alone. They know we're the alpha. They kind of know we kill things, with our high-powered rifles and such. So they kind of want to just stay away from us. So there's a little bit of respect there too. The Bigfoots, I don't really carry a gun. I know I should for other reasons. Some people think if you carry a gun, you won't have an interaction with the Bigfoot because the Bigfoot knows you have the gun. I don't know, maybe, but I've had the best success. Yeah, smell it. People think, some people think they could read your mind and, mind speak and such. Maybe that's true. I don't know. But I will tell you, I've had the best interactions being non-threatening, doing certain things to, pique their curiosity, like play music, cook food, whatever, to get them to come closer. And then we try tree knocks, maybe some whoops, some whistles, call blasts, some known Bigfoot vocals. And we've had great success doing those things. I will tell you the tree knocks work the best for me. Tree knocks are the easiest to fool them. I like a good wooden bat. I don't like the percussion instruments or things that are too high pitched, or it's got to sound like a stick hitting a tree to me. Sometimes if you just get a big stick, works the best. I've had great success finding a big stick and doing tree knocks with a stick. Multiple knocks too. Like 3 means something. I've had great success doing 3 knocks and getting replies back, and doing a knock, then 3 knocks. I've had great success with that. Also whoops and knocks. So you do a whoop and a knock together. There's a lot of recordings with whoops and knocks together. So I will do that as well. And if you get in the right scenario, and I like to say you get between 2 of them, because it doesn't think it's you. I'll be honest. I don't think they think we're doing it. It thinks another Bigfoot is doing it because it knows we're there. We got humans present. So they're kind of communicating to one another, location where you at, where I'm at. And then, we got humans present. So knocks seem to work the best for me. The calls, like if you make a call, it's kind of hard to make a good call. You don't know what you're saying. Call blasts, some call blasts have worked. Doing known howls, like the Ohio howl. There's some known ones. The Kentucky vocalizations. The Kentucky vocalizations were recorded by ghost hunters in an abandoned house of this Bigfoot coming off a ridge, yelling for, almost 5 minutes. And they recorded it. And they sent it to me. I sent it to this cryptolinguist who's also a Bigfoot researcher now. He worked for the military. Not Scott Nelson, another guy. He said, those match other Bigfoot vocals across the states. So I will call blast those. I've had something mimic those identically back. So, you got to do what works best for you. Try different things. Get creative. Sometimes doing the same old thing doesn't work. Get creative. Try something else.
Absolutely. Wow, that's so much information, man.
I know. I'm kind of rattling.
You are awesome, man. So you got a lot of this stuff on your website. You have vocals, you have some audio on there as well, right? And on YouTube?
Yes. There's lots of great interactions where I knock and knocks back. In fact, there's one on there I forgot about. This was years ago in the Fraser land. The Fraser land was in the 1700s. The Fraser family bought like 6,000 acres to harvest the land. They had multiple encounters with these big hairy creatures, and they left abruptly. It's well documented. It's in some documentaries. It's et cetera, et cetera. A former researcher, Philip Spencer, passed away. He was a friend of mine. He gave me all his research from that county. And usually I don't look at others' researchers like their witnesses. I didn't interview them, so I don't know if they're legit. But I will tell you this: I've been there. I've had my own interactions. I've interviewed other witnesses there. It's legit. That area is legit. And I was there one time, and I'll just tell you briefly. It was after an expedition on a Sunday. Everybody left. I'm up in this field where the main expedition was. I hear a loud tree knock. I'm like, oh my gosh. Holy crap, something's right back there in the woods. So I took a piece of firewood, did a knock back, nothing. And I think I might have did it a couple times. Nothing happened. I go, well, let me get in my truck. I'm going to drive the main trail to get my game camera back there. So I got in my truck. I drove all the way back in there as far as I could, got out, walked. And I remember the far distance hearing a hunter, somebody shooting a gun. And and I thought, oh man, I hope somebody doesn't shoot me or something. So I started talking. Hey, if there's a hunter around, don't shoot me. I'm getting my game camera. Please don't shoot me. I kept walking, got my game camera. As I come back, I hear a whoop, clear as day, whoop, to my left. Holy crap, there's a perfect whoop. So I grabbed a stick. I took my cell phone. I hit record, and it's on my YouTube. You can watch it. And I take this little stick. It kept breaking. And when I would knock, it would knock right back. Every time I knock, it would knock back. Sometimes, I think after the third or fourth time, it got mad and went bam, 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 bam. Like it got mad and multiple knocks. Like, what are you doing? Hurry up, And I remember the sun was going down. It was getting dark. And I'm like, I don't want to be out here, in the dark. But this thing interacted with me for a couple minutes, knocking back to me. The whoop on my left, he never replied back, but I think there was a Bigfoot on my left. On my left, that part of the woods was the woods that connected to the front, to the field where the first knock came from. So I think what happened was everybody left the expedition. A Bigfoot had come up to see if we were gone, and we were still there, a couple of us. So it made a home run knock, like bam. People present, lay low. That's what I think the home run knocks are. We got people present, lay low. And it was given that loud knock to tell the other one, no, people are still here. I just happened to get in my truck, drive past it down the main trail, and then walk to my right through the middle and got between two Bigfoot. And that whole video thing, not the first part, but me knocking on a tree, is on my YouTube. And somebody just did a documentary recently. I forgot his name, Alec something. He just posted it though on Small Town Monsters. He goes, "Can I use that?" Yeah, he goes, "Can I use that?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." So it's in the documentary, and I go, "Oh, I totally forgot about that." So it's kind of neat that he found some of my research and used it, in the documentary.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's just, the random situations that you come across like that, where you're just in the right spot at the right time. That's when all these encounters and stuff seem to happen, and when you get that activity. So
yeah. And that's what I mean by, okay, if you're not, for the listeners out there who want to know where to go, yeah, you could look for water. You could go to Google Earth and look at the terrain and find, where there's lots of, dynamic terrain. We have a lot of high ridges and low, valleys or hollers, as we call them. Those are great because Bigfoot's like those. Change in terrain, a lot of thick forest. But I will tell you the best thing is get on the BFRO.net or my website, KentuckyBigfoot.com. Look at the reports, find the counties, find the locations where the most sightings are. Go there, right? Because you got witnesses that have seen them there over decades. They're living there. So that's going to be your best bet. Don't go out behind Walmart, to try to find a Bigfoot. You might find something else.
yeah, you never know. We were down in Kentucky doing some stuff, and we were looking for Bigfoot down there. We actually got to go and film with Turtle Man to do Bigfooting and that. And everyone's like, "Oh, be careful when you go out in the woods." And we're like, "Oh, are there bears or cougars or something out there?" And they're like, "No, there's people." And we're like, "Oh, the people are what you need to worry about in the woods." Okay. So,
yeah,
definitely.
that's true. Now, Turtle Man, I've got his first report, his sighting. It's on my YouTube where I videotaped him. He was squirrel hunting, saw something coming at him, breaking branches, big hairy. He actually shot above its head. I know, people go on, when he was on Finding Bigfoot, he said he shot at it. He actually shot above its head, went back, got the hair samples, gave me the hair samples that he had gotten. I sent him away to Meldrum, actually. They came back unknown primate. Didn't get DNA from him, but he classified him as unknown primate. And I still have some of those hair. That was in Washington County, Kentucky. Wow. So his sighting added up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, he's very credible. He's a very nice guy. We got to spend an entire day with him and went out and did some tracking and Bigfooting and stuff. So that's on our YouTube, wisconsincaps.com.
Oh, nice.
So,
yeah. He's in fact, it was funny when I went with him, I went to his house, and his house is what you see on TV, but I remember him stopping in the dirt road on the way to his house, and he goes over and gets a big rock and he throws it in the back of his truck. And what are you doing? He goes, "I got a pothole in my driveway." He said he needed a big rock to fill the pothole in his driveway. That was funny.
Oh man. All right. Well, we are at the end of our hour for today. So I want to thank you so much for coming on. And I know you do some expeditions and stuff and some other events. Do you have anything coming up this summer or anything that people can come out and go Bigfooting with you?
We're full.
Okay.
The spring is full. We have not advertised for the fall yet. To be honest, it's hard to get into. But I do personal expeditions. So if you contact me and you come to Kentucky, I can hook you up. I can take you out. If it's 4 hours, if you want to do a weekend, I can arrange it with you, take you to one of my research areas, explain the research, share reports and stories, show you what I do. And I can't guarantee you an interaction, but I will take you to the hottest spots that I've had interactions. There's been dozens of witnesses. So just look me up through the website, contact me, and if it works out, I'll be happy to take you out.
That sounds awesome. And you are a wealth of knowledge, and I highly recommend anybody gets a chance to go out with you, especially like one-on-one like that. That'd be a really cool experience. So
yeah.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And I look forward to seeing you again out there this year at different conventions and stuff. And I know I'll see you again pretty soon.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Take care.
All right. Good night.
All right, guys, that is our show for this week. Again, we were pre-recorded for this episode, and in the show notes, you can find links to Charlie Raymond's website and also his YouTube channel. So if you guys want to go check that out, feel free to do that. Charlie is an amazing guy and definitely worth looking up and looking into. Coming up next week, as long as this airs the day that I think it's going to air, and as long as everything still lines up, my guest, hopefully for next week, will be Christopher Noel. Christopher Noel has a brand new book out, and he's going to be here to tell you all about it. And that brings us to the end of another episode of Monsters on the Edge. So I'll see you there. I'll see you on the edge.